7, The Zone.
Now on Saturday, you were willing to give a little extra. Then you, because of your preparation, things I'm trying to get across to you. And if we do that as a team, 11 at the time, 4 years from now, we'll be walking out of here national champion. And I'll tell you this, I expect nothing less.
97.7, The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It is a Wednesday edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. We're off, we're running, we're live. It's 7 o'clock. It is another beautiful day in the Tennessee Valley. 70 degrees right now, 85 degrees your expected high. Means you just need to give Talon Heating and Air a call today, because if you're going to be sweating, in places you shouldn't be sweating, give Talon Heating and Air a call.
Yeah.
Or find them online at talenthvac.com, 256-503-4490 to give our good buddies Talent Heating and Air a call. We need you to give them a call because we want you to be cool and safe inside your house.
It was nice.
Yeah.
I was listening as I was skedaddling to Gunnersville yesterday. I was listening to the second hour, and I see that you found the old Saturday Night Live skit.
Of course we found it. Of course we found it. We got to the meeting. We got to the meeting yesterday, and obviously Tokyo was in there.
Yeah.
And I said, "Look, I apologize."
Then he found a nice little collar guard logo.
Yeah, I said, I apologize. I didn't even mean to say it. It just came out.
I didn't get blamed for it. I figured the first thing, why the hell did Drew talk about the dick in the box?
You just get it.
Hey, I'm just going to say it. I'm one time. I just figured that's what was going to happen.
Anyway, yes, yesterday's show was one we just never know. But anyway,
yeah.
We got a lot of stuff.
Crap, and then it ended up taking that turn.
Yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot of stuff.
I'm assuming you still haven't done it, right?
I've not done it yet.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
It's still sitting in the box on the house, in the office.
Well, that's better. What we said is better than saying bleep in a box.
Yes. Anyway, we got a lot of stuff to clear.
Manure in a box, we could say manure.
We got a lot of stuff to clear out of the system today.
That was good. That's a good one.
We got Ryan Williams sat down with John Gruden.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I got a follow out of John Gruden yesterday.
Did you really? That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, Barstool
awesome.
Gruden, that's coach.
Yep.
And that's who he's working for now.
There
I
you
had
go.
to double and triple check. We know how many fake accounts Times has got.
Yep. So he sat down. Isaiah Horton was with him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so he sat down with Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams had a couple interesting things to say on this thing. And that prompted Diego Pavia to respond as well. So we're going to we're going to play all of this out. It's very interesting. It's very funny. Point spreads are out for Alabama, Florida State.
Yeah.
ESPN has their FPI out for college football, their football power index. We got baseball news. We've got all kinds of stuff to get through. But the interesting thing yesterday, at least on social media, was the Ryan Williams conversation with John Gruden. Okay. Two things came out of this. Number one, we all remember the last play. Not last second play, but the last minute play against Georgia last season that Alabama scored.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't supposed to happen because Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams called their own play in the huddle.
So basically what you're telling me is it was any given Sunday.
Basically. So John, you're going to have to get the bleep button out because John Gruden says a word in this, but I need to play the whole thing because it's actually interesting to hear. So here is what happened in that last 2-minute play against Georgia.
You and Milroe have a private discussion in this situation. So what was that discussion? What was Milroe saying to you?
So when we went down, we usually get to play, like we'll have an idea of what we're about to run. So we get ready to go on the field, and he hears it through the headset, and I was like, I'm gonna convert it, and he was like, okay, and that was it. And we went on the field, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and like you can see right now, I'm looking at him. And
no shit. That's what happened?
Yeah, I promise. And the rest was.
What route are you supposed to run here?
I'm supposed to drop like what number 5 did. Mm-hmm. But since I knew it was man to man. So it was like, there's no way. Like if you look at everybody else, they pretty much sitting on the route.
Yeah, but you're supposed to run a freaking lightning route like number 5 is. And off you go.
Yeah.
What did the coach say to you? What Coach DeBoard say to you?
Nothing. Touchdown. Touchdown.
So there you go. So it was a misroute, but he ran it because.
Well, at least he and the quarterback were on the same page, even if it was, not the called play. In other words, the improvised play, they were on the same page, because if there hadn't been communication, we're probably just seeing another Milroe turnover again, and then an L, and then whatever that.
So they asked about that play,
right?
Well, then John Gruden asked what happened at the Vanderbilt game.
Well, and before you play that, and the number 5 they're referring to is Jeremy Bernard. They were running the same route.
Yes,
yes. 5, yeah.
So here is this conversation.
Yeah.
What the hell happened to you guys against Vanderbilt?
Man, they played a better football game than us this game. We came out slow, and they capitalized. They held the ball. They had their game plan. And they executed.
What do you say to your team when you got Vanderbilt this year? They're coming into Tuscaloosa.
Man, going into this game, it's we don't call them revenge games. So we're gonna kill an ant with a sledgehammer this year. So I mean, just every game that we fell short last year, we definitely got red eyes going into them.
Well, I was getting people in my mentions just, why is he doing that? Why is he saying it? And I saw some other people pick up on it and talk, and we're quoting it and everything. Look, man, it is what it is. It's the first time they'd lost to Vanderbilt in over 40 years. And it wasn't just talking about Vandy. He said, everybody we lost to, we got to take an ant with it.
Right.
It's an ant to us with a sledgehammer
to an ant.
Yeah, or sledgehammer to an ant. Whatever the hell you're saying. In other words, he's saying no revenge game. We got to take a sledgehammer to an ant. We got to take care of business. We got to be focused. I don't really call that being disrespectful of Vanderbilt. He's just talking about every game they got to be focused. So
Diego Pavia thought it was disrespectful.
I'm sure he did. He's had a chip on his shoulder his entire career.
So he goes on Instagram yesterday and last night and makes a post, reposted a reel that had Gucci Mane's "Made It" outro, whatever, playing in the background. And the quotes are, "They acting like they tough, but don't want no confrontation."
Well, I could say this too. You want to keep flapping your trap, and you've only beat a team one time in 40 years, and you think Alabama's not going to be ready for your ass when you come into Tuscaloosa? Well, they're going to be ready for that ass this time. Okay? They will be. I will be shocked if Alabama's not ready to play Vanderbilt. Okay? And Vandy had a really good year last year, but both sides going to chirp a little bit. But I'm just saying, I will be shaken confidence-wise if Alabama can't take Vanderbilt out this year. I mean, I'm sorry. I think they're a good football team. We're very well coached by Clark Lee.
Right.
But Alabama's going to have a veteran group, and they know the way Vanderbilt plays. They're a very difficult preparation. You've got to be locked in and ready. And if you're locked in and ready, you can, make some plays against these guys. And I love Diego Pavia. I said it last year. Guy's a baller. He's also on Social Security. But I mean, but we'll see. Can
Vanderbilt, the question that we're going to have, and we're going to have this in less than 2 months now. I mean, the SEC Media Days is quickly approaching, and a lot of people and everybody, including myself, and I know you probably, and and everyone else that sent a ballot into the SEC media days last year, Vanderbilt was picked at the very bottom of the whole entire 16 teams. I mean, because remember, we don't have divisions. They were picked at the very bottom of the 16. The question now is, with Diego Pavia coming back for Vanderbilt, do they recapture any of that magic from last year, or is Vanderbilt going to Vanderbilt this thing? And are they going to be at the bottom again, or are people going to pick them not bottom? I mean, I'm thinking Missouri, maybe Kentucky.
Oh, I'm not going to go with Missouri. I think they'll be very competitive. Certainly they lost a lot of players. I still think Coach Drinkwitz does a great job, though. And with Vanderbilt, they're not going to sneak up on anyone this year, but I think they'll be very, very competitive. I worry about Mississippi State simply
Mississippi State, that's who I should have. Yes.
Just because of, Coleman Hutzler. I mean, they did not get rid of Coleman Hutzler. So I'm afraid their defense may be horrendous again. So, and then they have to figure out their quarterback spot. Remember, all the quarterbacks transferred. Well, I mean, they got the kid back from Baylor, I guess, back from the injury. But is he any good? I really don't know. So
don't know a lot.
So I would, but I will say it's going to be harder for Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt, they grinded a lot of teams. Now, they scored a lot of points against Alabama because Alabama defensively had their worst game of the year. But you saw they won a lot of close, hard-scoring, physical games.
They need to get Kentucky, a lead early, keep the ball.
Auburn, those kind of teams, they were able to grind down. You know what I'm saying? So, and they even played Texas really tough. So, Pavia, you now have a year's worth of film on him. And what this, to me, kind of equates is Alabama against Johnny Be Good. Because all I heard for a year after Johnny Boy won the Heisman was, what a performance he had against Alabama. Oh, are they going to be able to, beat A&M on the road in Aggie land? And Johnny still played a good game. Now, half of it was pulling it out of his ass and throwing it up to a Hall of Fame player, and Mike Evans just scrambling around, just throw it up. And
Sandlot plays and draw it in the sand.
And let Mike make a play. And Mike is a stud. He's going to Canton. Okay.
Yes.
He's the Julio Jones of Texas A&M. All right. That's how good he is. But Alabama also turned him over, and Alabama won the game. And A.J. McCarron played very well. If you remember, it started horrendously. A&M was up 14-0. And Johnny's going around doing this stuff. And because this was pre-NIL and Johnny had already made, several thousands of dollars signing his autograph that's now worthless to anybody unless you're an Aggie.
Signing his Herbie Hancock.
Yeah. But again, Alabama rallied and won the game. So we'll see. But I definitely think Alabama will be ready. I have ultimate respect for Diego Pavia. And I think I took Ryan Williams' comment more as about a mindset for the team for the entire season. But I'm not surprised that Diego Pavia took it as an insult because he's been doubted his whole career. That's why he's taken the path that he has. And a loophole in a rule is going to give him a 7th year. And but to be honest with you, if I were Alabama, I would be happy that he's coming back because I would want a chance to play against him again and play better football and have a chance to win a game, in my opinion, because you want to play against competitors like Diego Pavia. He should bring the best out of you.
Right. No, I agree. And Ryan Williams said that it's everybody that we struggled against last year.
Yeah, I mean,
Oklahoma
was worse than Vanderbilt.
Yes.
I mean, Jackson Arnold ran the football exceptionally well. It was Oklahoma's biggest win of the year because Oklahoma was not very good. Okay, and then in Tennessee, that was a big win for the Vols. They certainly ended up going to the college football playoff, so that was a huge deal. But anytime Tennessee beats Alabama, since it's happened so very rarely, they're going to tear down goalposts and act like that they won the Super Bowl because they beat big bad Alabama that's won 17 out of the last 19 times.
All right, well, that's how we're going to get you cranked up on a Wednesday morning.
I'm sorry, I think it's 16 out of 18. I'm assuming this year that it's fixing to be 17 out of 19 ass weapons.
Oh, that one's in Tuscaloosa, right?
Right.
Yeah. Just saying.
Yep.
All right, got to get a break in because when we come back, ESPN Football Power Index has some strength of schedules out, percentages out. We talk about how good the SEC is. When I read you these numbers, it's not conference strength of schedule, it's national strength of schedule. We'll explain.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I'm Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal. And we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beams likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well-trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
This is Steve Moulton for Tellini's Italiano. Tellini's Italiano is located right in front of the Walmart, right off of University, behind the McDonald's. More or less catty corner from Topgolf. It's one of my favorite places to go to, and if you go there, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you need to try the baked spaghetti, add a meatball. Also try the baked ziti with meat sauce, add sausage. You'll thank me. Save room for some pizzas and paninis as well. And don't forget about dessert as well. The best cheesecake I have had here in North Alabama is at Tellini's Italiano. Find out for yourself today. That's Tellini's Italiano, right off of University Drive in front of the Walmart. Located online at Tellinis.com. That's TELLINIS.com. Let's get some Tellini's tonight.
The Braves roll into the 2025 season with a singular focus. Bring home the division title and remind the league what Atlanta is all about.
Swung on, driven to left center field and deep. That baby's out of here. Austin Riley. 3-0 to Olsen, and he powers one. Deep right center field to the wall. It's gonna fly. It's a home run. Back-to-back homers.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Only on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got rice cooking in the microwave. Got a 3-day
Welcome back, Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. And during the break, we we just stumbled upon some breaking news, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's a good friend of ours. Always been great to us, and one of his I think one of the legacies he leaves, and one of the great things that was done during his tenure there was naming their athletic complex after one Conridge Holloway.
Yeah. And that is Lee High School head football coach Irving McGuire has stepped down as the Lee General head football coach. When you read this and you read why,
right,
you're happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is going to be an assistant principal now. He's accepted the assistant principal position at Sonny Herford Elementary School. His son, just talked to Irving a second ago. He said it was a tough decision, but with his son moving to elementary,
that's right,
and the timing of this situation was the best move for him and his family.
Mm-hmm.
So we wish him nothing but the best. He's always been kind to us. He's always been kind to join us the show on Fridays or Thursdays or the scoreboard show or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Bank Team of the Week, always gracious to open up his facility to us and show us everything around. We wish him nothing but the best.
Right. And now there will be a new Lee head football coach. And, of course, his offensive coordinator has already taken the head coaching job at Grissom High School. And that's Preston Judah. I know Coach Judah joined the Blitz recently, and they touched base with him. So now we're going to have another new head coach within the Huntsville City school system. So a lot of change still and turnover within the Huntsville City schools.
All right, so that's how we get you back here, 7:21 on a Wednesday morning.
I believe now, if I'm remembering correctly, we've had 3 changes. We've had Columbia,
right,
with just Sammy Coates,
right.
We've had Lee now with Irving McGuire today, and then Preston Judah at Grissom. Jimmy Gay at Huntsville still in place, and of course, they are still under the same. He'll be third year for that staff at Mae Jemison. So those are the only 2 though right now that we have. The same leadership within in place schools that going into this next 2025 season.
And if you want to extend that map all the way out to maybe Marshall County, Albertville High School over the past couple of days named Adam Weingarten
very interesting
as their
hire.
New head football coach there.
Yeah.
He's had stops at Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa, Fairhope, Auburn, and Tuscaloosa County. He was the director of leadership and high school relations at Troy University under Gerard Parker. That's his most recent role, but he's 117-48 as an Alabama head coach is Adam Weingarten, but he's the new head coach at Albertville. So that's just extending that umbrella out there a little bit.
Yeah. Weingarten did a great job at Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa, excuse me. And then he had made some progress at Tuscaloosa County in a very tough region. Before going to Troy and nearly won a state championship at Auburn. You remember that crazy finish? He was head coach of that Auburn team that really should have beat Thompson.
Oh, the miracle game for Thompson. Yeah.
So the field goal and all that. So he's got a really good resume. That's an interesting hire. Burt Brown dismissed, at Albertville after a couple of tough years. That's been a tough situation there, but they do have great facilities and support. So it'll be interesting to see what Coach Weingarten does. And like we said, Rico White and Jimmy Lay, Jimmy, you're at Westminster. Apologize, NL.com. But Jimmy Gay going into his second year at Huntsville High. So Jimmy Gay, Rico White, pretty much the only 2. And then don't forget, we've had certainly Kelvis White still at Bob Jones, but we had the change at James Clemens as well. So and by the way, they hired an OC over the weekend with a very interesting last name. I believe he's the son of Josh Niblett. And so
they did. Yeah.
So an OC change there. I believe Riley Niblett coming to James Clemens.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's how you can join us here on a Wednesday morning. Just kind of throwing in some high school news there, because coming out of the break again, our breaking news of the morning, Irving McGuire stepping down as Lee High School head football coach. We do have a lot of stuff to get through coming up at the bottom of the hour. Rodney Orr is going to join us, and we touched a little bit on it, just a tip of it yesterday, maybe a little bit. Alabama football recruiting news, a lot of visitors coming to campus over the weekend, so we'll touch some more on that with Rodney Orr at the bottom of the hour. Alabama and Florida State, we all know that is to kick off the football season. And some odds of a lot of these opening games are coming out. And the Florida State, Alabama odds are out. And in case you want to know, Alabama is now slated as an 11.5-point favorite against the Florida State Seminoles to kick off the new season. Florida State coming off that rough year, 2-10 last year, 2-10 for the Seminoles. Now, all they've done in the offseason, Florida State, is they've brought in 30 newcomers and 2 new coordinators. One of those, of course, Gus Malzahn, who they pried away from UCF.
He ran before the pitchfork could get him.
Is that what it is?
There's no question.
The natives were restless in Orlando.
A little bit.
So Gus Malzahn, the new offensive coordinator there at Florida State.
And Tony White will be the DC. He came over from Nebraska.
But Alabama, 11.5-point favorite in that one.
Well, somebody was asking me about it the other day, and I just said, look, got to let things play out. Got to let teams come together. Don't forget, last year coming in, Florida State was probably one of 2 favorites along with Clemson in the ACC. They were supposed to be a top 10 team in the country, and we remember what happened in the opener over in Ireland against Georgia Tech. They fell on their face. They didn't react very well. And by the end of the September, it was, what was that song by Green Day? When September ends, they were like, get me the hell out of here. I mean, the season was pretty much over. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's called Wake Me Up When September Ends. So, yeah, they needed to be woken up, and it never happened. And so if they hadn't, signed, coach to such a huge extension at Florida State, there's no question that I think, that they would have wanted to make a coaching change there, but they really couldn't because of financial considerations. But again, we'll see. They nearly made the college football playoff the year before. They had an undefeated regular season, but we know about the injury, at the quarterback that they suffered. But yeah, it was a very, very tumultuous season in Tallahassee.
When September ends,
this is the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
like my father's come to.
That is summing up Florida State's season last year.
Yeah. Trust me, I was watching War Chant TV and stuff. They were wanting to be woken up when September ended, I'm telling you. Because the year before when Jordan Travis got hurt, Mike Norvell, they were on top of the world. They thought they were going to maybe win a national championship.
Well,
everything was, are we going to have to get rid of them?
It was one of the most unexpected drops in college football.
I didn't see that coming. I didn't think that they would be that horrendous.
The question is now, we are in May. We're in June now. We're in June.
By the way, I like that song a lot.
It's not a bad song.
It's just hard to believe it's 20 plus years old.
Right. You couldn't predict Florida State having that epic collapse. Is there a team right now that you could sit there? We could not have thought about this last year. And maybe an impossible question, but is there somebody out there in college football that could have that collapse where you're sitting there saying they want September to end because they just want to be put out of their misery?
I'm not sure, but I wish it would be Tennessee.
Oh. That's the question. Is it what? It's hard to predict. You can't predict right now in June that there's going to be a football team there in college football, but there will be. There will be a team out there that's just going to want to. It is just going to be an epic disaster, and they're going to want September to end so bad.
Well, I'll just say this: if Florida State and Norvell, if they have another turd, in September. I'm not sure he'll make it to October. I'll just be honest. I think Florida State will
And then he'll be
find the
gone
money.
by November.
Hey! There's another song. Gone till November.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, trust me, because there was a ton of conversation about Norvell, but with the money they gave him, because remember, even Greg Byrne went on the record as saying plan A, which they never deviated from, 1A was Kalen DeBoer, and then B was Mike Norvell. So, and they had, Greg Byrne had his eyes on Norvell because of what he'd done at Florida State. So, I mean, and it's so funny how it reversed, because the previous 2 years or so, Norvell had been considered a portal king. He had done a great job of adding players to the transfer portal, but then last year, all those portal guys, a lot of them flopped, including several from Alabama. It just did not work out. DJ Uiagalelei, I mean, it was about as
you got
big
30
a
new
disaster.
guys now this year. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, they got 30 newcomers to try to
if you
plug holes with.
That's the thing. If you depend heavily on the portal and it busts, you almost have to just go back to the well again, because how it's going to be hard to recruit a high school class, a good one, even if you have good NIL, when you suck. I mean, trust me, these kids, it's transactional, but it's also, coach, I don't want to get my ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't want to be an ant and getting stomped.
Is that like Lane Kiffin? Is that?
So far, Lane's
he's
solved
made it
that
work.
riddle. I mean, is it going to blow up in his face one time?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he could be. It could blow up in.
I
Ole
really
Miss's
don't think
face.
so. I don't see that happening this year. But I will be honest. There's another program where it has blown it, but so much of it you have to. It's not glossing over, but you have to understand how difficult it is,
right,
when you lose a head coach so suddenly, like with what happened with Mike Leach, because he does things differently. He does things a certain way.
Yeah.
And when you lose a guy like that as suddenly as you did, it's just disastrous. There's no other way.
Right. It sets your program back
a few years.
Yes.
And it's even in many ways in this portal era NIL, it's worse, because Mississippi State, they have manageable expectations. I mean, I know you guys had Steve Robertson on. I've been friends with Steve for years, and I heard him tell you guys yesterday, and he's repeated it. They're a baseball school, but football pays the bills. But they understand, as a university, they're not going to very likely win a national championship. It's going to be very, very difficult even to win an SEC. But if you win 8 or 9 games, you can stay there as long as you want.
Dan Mullen could have stayed there as long as
now
he wanted.
He's at UNLV because he couldn't handle the Florida job.
Right.
When there was media people saying he was going to win a national championship at Florida.
Well, it's because the expectations were different at Florida than what they were at Mississippi State.
And I thought he did a great job at Mississippi
He
State.
did.
Now, I did not buy into the national championship at Florida stuff at first, because it made me nervous, because I was like, is he going to adjust? Is he going to be able to recruit at a higher level that he's going to need? Because it just seemed to me, even though he worked for a guy like Urban Meyer, who won at all costs and recruited very well, that he just didn't emphasize recruiting enough.
Right.
And if you don't, it's just not going to work.
All right. Well, what works for us is getting a break in right now. And then when we come back, Rodney Orr is going to join us, and we're going to talk a little Alabama football recruiting. Rodney Orr after this.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Your Fox 54 weather brought to you by Tellini's Italiano.
Mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 80s. We're also going to be just a touch on the humid end of the spectrum. A couple of isolated, widely scattered showers are going to be possible. We drop into the mid 60s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny sky for your Thursday. A couple of showers and temperatures in the mid 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Your Fox 54 weather only on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Would you call a plumber for a root canal? The same goes for selling your timberland or farm. Choose someone who understands your property and can help you on the front end so you can capitalize on the back end. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction. As a guide, I have put many hunters in position to take a shot. It's time for you to take your shot. Let's talk about putting you in position to sell your property. Call me at 256-609-0512. Remember, Bo knows land.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed mold, mildew, bowing walls, or water in your basement? I hope not, but if you have, your basement is losing the war against groundwater. That's where AFS comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your basement and stabilize your walls. Schedule your free inspection at afsrepair.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job.
Licensed in all states, will work as before. See website for detail.
Flying nonstop from Huntsville is a breeze on Breeze Airways. They're nice people flying nice people to nice places on really nice planes. Let's be direct. Nonstop from Huntsville to the places you want to go. Las Vegas, Orlando, or Tampa, starting at $49. It's time for a weekend getaway or a long overdue week away. Time to check in using the convenient Breeze app and check out. What are you waiting for? Book today at flybreeze.com. That's flybreeze.com. Breeze Airways. Seriously nice.
Listen to the Rocket City Trash Pandas all season long.
Swung on Rocket. Left center field. That's going to get down and go to the wall. First. He's on his way to second. He'll pull in. It's the first ever cycle in Trash Pandas history.
Trash Panda Baseball is only on Talk Radio WZZN.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back. 7:37 on a Wednesday morning. We were talking before the break. We were in some little college football conversation. We talked about Alabama's point spread against Florida State right now, 11.5 in favor of the Tide. But Alabama over the weekend had some names come on campus. It is one of those times, if you've forgotten the recruiting calendar, and it can kind of get lost there a little bit, it's a busy time right now.
No, it was the first weekend of official visits. They got another star-studded one coming up. June's a big month. You got camp. I think they have their special teams camp this week as well. But Kalen DeBoer and Courtney Morgan and staff, they're already putting the pieces together potentially to have another really good recruiting class. But it's different now. It's a different way to track it, different way to get a feel for it. And we're going to bring back into the conversation a guy we always go to, and we're talking Crimson Tide recruiting since 1996, the founder and owner of TiderInsider.com. That's Rodney. Well, Rodney, good morning. You were Drew and Scott.
Drew and Scott, how are you guys doing this morning?
We're doing good. But it looks like, at least for the first weekend, and then, teams, most everybody is going to do a nice job with the official visits and everything. But the buzz you were reporting on TiderInsider.com seemed very, very positive coming out of the weekend.
I thought it was a really good, as you said, first weekend. Drew, again, you had a lot of top guys, which is what you would expect. I thought it was a really impressive weekend. I think the staff has done an incredible job of getting top guys lined up for visits this summer. There's more weekends to come, of course, as you know, and I think those groups that are going to be coming in will be really impressive as well. But I thought, just kind of some of the people we've talked to, a couple of the prospects that we've reached out to, the feedback has been really strong. I mean, I think when you look, let's just start on the offensive line. I thought they did a really nice job with Deacon Smith, the number one player out of the state of Colorado. He came in talking a lot about Oklahoma, a little bit about Tennessee as well. And, I think Alabama did a really good job of kind of opening his mind up. And then perhaps the number one, and this would just be my guess, if you're looking at the top offensive tackle that's still on the board, not committed, that's what I mean, but it would probably be Malachi Lee, who came in for a visit this weekend out of Honolulu. That went extremely well. Of course, the Tonga Valoas had an assist there. They came in and helped out with that recruit. But that went really, really well. And then also Bryson Cooley, one of the top offensive linemen in the state of Mississippi. So they did really, really well there. I thought they did well on the defensive line with the guys that came in. Titan Davis out of St. Louis, J.J. Finch out of Indianapolis, and then also Nolan Wilson out of Pekin, Mississippi. I would say especially right now with Wilson and Titan Davis, that went really well.
So how aggressive, right now, how aggressive is Alabama being? Does this house settlement, NIL stuff, does it slow down anything, or does Alabama still go full speed?
You talking about in terms of how they use their NIL?
Yeah.
No, I think Alabama's actually picking it up a little bit. And I think they've got to, because of the competition and what they're doing. So, I think Alabama is, again, you're not going to see any Jackson Cantwell type mega deals from Alabama where they're offering a guy, $6 million over 3 years or something like that. That's not going to happen, not very likely, but they're going to be really competitive with a lot of their offers.
I think that may have been in reference to what Courtney Morgan tweeted several days ago, a couple of weeks now, I guess, about taking the gloves off.
Right. I think that certainly was alluding to what was going on in the NIL market.
Yeah, no question about that. And then we in the quarterback recruiting has been interesting. We have Pat from Tuscaloosa call in, and he's been championing Jet Tamalia for a while. And it's interesting, he came on an unofficial, Rodney, so he'll come on his official later in the summer.
Potentially could. It's going to be interesting because Jet Tamala out of Omaha, Nebraska, he's a really good-looking athlete to me. I've watched his basketball highlights and seen them. He's a dunking machine. But, and he had a really good year last year, over 3,600 yards passing, 47 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Came in, like you said, on an unofficial visit. He's committed to Iowa State. And he takes an official visit there this weekend. And I think perhaps that visit might determine or help him come to a determination of what he wants to do in the future. And I would say that if he comes back for another visit, which would be an official, then I would say that probably Jet Tamala is going to flip to Alabama. But, again, we'll see.
A good point. And then obviously on defense, you mentioned the defensive line, and we've talked about how crucial it is for them to bring in some high quality defensive linemen, probably 3 or 4 in the class, but they've also made some inroads at the linebacker position with several top targets early, Rodney.
Yeah, one came in this weekend. You talk about turning heads this weekend. Braden Rouse, out of Marietta, Georgia. I know someone that's really close to Braden and spoke to him, right after the visit. And he said it was absolutely an amazing visit. He came in really kind of high on Tennessee, among others, but Tennessee was certainly one of the ones that was extremely high in the mix there. And then this visit to Alabama opened the eyes of not only Braden, but his family. And his mom, and I think it went a long way. Now we'll see what happens. He's a really, he's got decent height. He's close to 6'3". He's 205 pounds, but he's got a tremendous frame. Very athletic kid. So we'll see what happens with Braden. But the Alabama visit did go extremely well.
Yeah, it really did. And then also, Ohio has been good to Alabama. We know what they did with Justin Hill last year. It looks like he's going to be the real deal out of Cincinnati. And they're trying to out-recruit the Buckeyes again for Sincere Johnson. I know he was in town, and it seemed as though his visit went well, Rodney.
Yeah, Sincere Johnson. Here's the thing. He's from Glenville High School up there in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And that's a school that traditionally has sent a ton of players. It's hard to get a player away from Ohio State at that school. But, Alabama did a really good job, as you mentioned, Drew, last year going to Cincinnati and grabbing Justin Hill from Winton Woods High School. Did a fantastic job when he appeared to be a lock for Ohio State. And in this case, I think there are some people, I haven't really heard lock associated with Sincere Johnson, but most people have thought that Ohio State was the definite team. I know he goes there here pretty soon for a visit, but he seems to be a really mature kid. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that, I don't think he's not playing any games. No pun intended. I do think he's sincere about Alabama. And he had a great visit. I know that, again, I talked to someone close to him as well that was close to him on his visit, that his family was having a great time. His dad was decked out in some Bama stuff, for whatever that's worth. But, he did have a really good visit.
Kenny, I want to say Ken Darby.
We've already been asked, but no, he's not related.
Yeah, Kenny Darby. He's an LSU wide receiver commit, but he was on campus for Alabama. Great. Looks like he had a great time. Does Alabama have any chance of being able to flip him?
Sounds like it. I mean, I know he says now he's going to make his final decision on July 4th. Now, look, guys, I'm not judging Kenny Darby, okay? But let's just talk kind of in general terms. Mm-hmm. It does, in this environment of the NIL, make me a little leery when a kid's committed to another school and he suddenly comes and visits and he's talking up that school because, these kids, most all of them now have agents and representatives. And, you never know when a kid is trying to up the ante a little bit, get a little bit more NIL money. And I'm not saying that's going on here.
Right.
I'm just saying that is a reality of where this thing is. That kids that are committed to schools take a visit to another school, really not necessarily overly interested in the school they're visiting as much as it is trying to see if they can squeeze some more money out. So, and that's a reality. You heard what Kirby Smart said a week ago, that some schools are paying $20,000. The way I understood him to say it, $20,000 a month to hang on to some commitments. So that's crazy.
It really is. And then as we were wrapping up the conversation, though, as we said, a really strong weekend overall. And a strong one coming up. Looks like there's several top line prospects coming. But I know one guy that I was very interested in that came in this past weekend because I had a chance to see DeJohn Lee practice. He's the real deal. I think he's going to have a huge impact on Alabama. But Bishop Gorman safety Jet Washington, it sounds like it's Alabama, Oregon, but he sounds like another kind of freakazoid type defensive back. In Alabama, since Mo Linquist came in, Courtney Morgan, they have done an exceptional job recruiting in the defensive backfield, Rodney.
Oh, incredible. Yes. And when you mentioned DeJohn Lee, I knew where this was going. This Jet Washington, he's a 5-star safety out of Las Vegas, as you mentioned. He's a very similar size. In fact, someone that was there told me, said, look, when you look at Jet Washington, it's almost like looking at DeJohn Lee. I mean, they're built almost the same, the great height and all of that. And I think Oregon did when he came in. Oregon kind of had the edge there. No, after he left, there may be a different story. I know he's got USC, and I know he's got Ohio State to visit. I think Alabama did extremely well. And again, I don't really know when you're talking about these recruitments, you have to say, again, NIL, because when Oregon's involved, when USC is involved, and even Ohio State, you really wonder how important NIL is going to be into the decision.
Mm-hmm. And Rodney, finally, I know it's still it's Wednesday. There's a couple of days left in the week, and some of these things can change. But what is the outlook for the visit weekend for Alabama coming up?
Well, it looks pretty good. Obviously you have Jordan Edmonds coming in. He's already committed to you. He seems to be really firm. The cornerback out of Georgia, out of Marietta, number one corner in the country, according to some. You've got Cam Johnson, who's also committed to you out of Muscle Shoals. It could be a linebacker, maybe grows into one of those defensive ends. We'll see. But of guys that aren't committed, as you look at the list, Kamari Brooks is supposed to be in. He's an outstanding player, outstanding kind of edge player out of the state of Georgia. You've got Jaquez Wilkes. Again, like you said, Drew, these visits can change. He's at a Wadley High School here in the state of Alabama. He's kind of a smaller school phenom. You've got Sam Utu, who's an outstanding offensive lineman. He's offensive guard / tackle, could play both, out of Orange, California. And here's an interesting one. We talked about Jet Tamala. How about Matt Ponatoski out of the legendary Moeller High School, who not only this year as a junior was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Ohio for football, but also the Gatorade Player of the Year for baseball. I think that may be a concern with him is baseball, because there's some people that project him among the top 25 to 30 high school prospects in the country. So, but he'll be in. Jaira Edwards is a great safety prospect. You talk about Jet Washington. A lot of people love this Jaira Edwards out of Baltimore. He's a tremendous player. Caden Prothro, we'll see if he comes in, the tight end from Georgia, who's really an outstanding player. A lot of people think Georgia's going to wrap him up, maybe potentially soon, I guess, whenever he decides to make that announcement. Maybe he already has set a date. I'm not sure. But that's just kind of that in a nutshell, what we have coming up this weekend.
Well, great stuff, Rodney. Let everybody know how to follow TighterInsider.com, because we know you're going to be all over it.
Right. TighterInsider.com. It's only $48 a year. You can get instant access with your credit card, or if you prefer, there is an address there to send a check. Gives you all our premium information. But also, Drew and Scott are, as you guys know, are All Sports Forum. That's our community of Alabama fans there. It's pretty nonstop there on TighterInsider.com.
It really is.
All right.
We really
Good
appreciate
stuff,
it,
Rodney.
man. Have a great rest of the week.
Okay, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. We got to get a break in.
Puff, puff, pass.
Got to get a break in. We'll explain what that means
Why
next.
the hell didn't that say Mike Norvell?
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Since 1983, Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate's Ann Adams has been your local go-to real estate expert in the area. As a buyer, you can trust Ann's in-depth knowledge of the local housing market to narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in, saving you time when shopping for a new home. When you're ready to sell, Ann's expert negotiation skills will ensure you get a fair price and hassle-free experience. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or email annadamsrise@gmail.com.
I'm here with Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. With the temperatures going up and temperatures going down right now, now is a good time to get your heating and air system looked at. Thomas, when somebody calls, you guys answer.
That's right. The phones are staffed by us. They're manned 24/7. We're ready to come out and take care of you that day.
How do they give you guys a call?
You give us a call at 256-503-4490.
And you can find you guys on the World Wide Web at
talenthvac.com.
And now is a good time to do this because you guys are offering a special deal.
That's right. We're doing $49 tune-ups this spring. We're also doing free second opinions. We offer that year-round. Somebody comes out, they say you got a bad compressor, a leaking refrigerant. Give us a call, see if we can save you some money.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air. Thomas, one more time, that phone number.
256-503-4490. AL certain number 21014.
You've seen those beautiful epoxy floors in a garage or carport area and have probably wondered, how can I get that done? Well, the answer is Lifetime Epoxy Floors. Lifetime Epoxy Floors is an A-plus rated business with the Better Business Bureau and has been family-owned for over 14 years. They do both residential and commercial applications and get most jobs done in a day. Lifetime Epoxy Floors' motto is, we love what we do, and it shows. Visit LifetimeEpoxyFloors.com to schedule a free estimate today and check them out on Facebook.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
So the puff pass moment right there before the break was courtesy of ESPN and Get Up, because the
I don't know if
headline
they ever got up.
on the headline there that they put on the morning, the question that they asked this morning was, should Kalen DeBoer be on the hot seat for 2025? That was the question asked by the fine folks at ESPN this morning.
I mean, as I said going to break, where the hell's Mike Norvell at? We talked about him already today. He's the one that ought to be on a scorching hot seat. I mean, he had to hire an offensive coordinator that you had to, the pitchforks were chasing him out of Orlando. But I mean, trust me, there's always pressure at Alabama. I get asked this all the time, and certainly there's a lot of people that are wondering how Kalen DeBoer is going to do long term at Alabama,
right?
Because he only went 9-4 last year. I mean, why didn't they say is Jeff Lebby on the hot seat? I guess because these programs just don't have the panache of Alabama. But he didn't go 2-10 and throw up all over himself. I mean, and people keep including a guy that works here, keeps riding that horse for how you lose to Vanderbilt. And it was a first-time loss in 40 years. But again, it's a Vanderbilt team that had a winning record and won a bowl game. Let's calm down here. That nearly beat Texas, that lost by a field goal was supposed to rule the world, but did go to the college football playoff. So, I mean, was it a great first year? No, but it wasn't anything close to, oh my God, it may get fired after 2 years. These are the same idiots that said, I just know this. I know Nick Saban. He going to be gone after that second year. I don't know what the hell Alabama going to do after that. But oops, he lasted 17. So
no. I mean, it's. I know why they're asking it. I don't know why they have to ask it.
I don't know. It's
it's. You can look at the SEC and say, well, okay, Lane Kiffin hasn't gotten Ole Miss to the playoffs yet. I know they've had a 10-win season, but
and then you have to understand Ole Miss's expectations. I talked to Brett Norsworthy when I guess hosted another show yesterday, and Lane's won 10 games 3 of the last 4 years.
Oh, but he hasn't gotten them to the playoffs.
Not yet. And yet last year was a big miss. Brett even said it was probably the most underachieving year in Ole Miss history. But this is still Ole Miss, and they still love him because they're actually a factor, and he gets them on television, and he goes on the Fine Bomb show, and he says outrageous things.
Well, so do we. We got an hour of it next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Drivers who switch to Progressive have an annual savings of nearly $750. Progressive.com.
Chris Sale will mound for the Atlanta Braves today. He's 3-3 with a 3.06 earned run average. He's another 80 favorite against Merrill Kelly of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Kelly 5-2, 3.78 ERA. Diamondbacks a plus 150 underdog. 8 over the total at Truist Park. Auburn Tigers hosting Coastal Carolina, the best of 3 super regional for a trip to Omaha, Nebraska in the College World Series. Auburn, the $1.45 favorite on the series price and 10-1 to win the national title. Rory McIlroy plus 450 to win this week's RBC Canadian Open at TPC Toronto. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
SportsMedAlabama.com. That's how you can find SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They are dedicated to providing care that improves lives. They're North Alabama's leader in sports medicine surgery. Give them a call today, 256-881-51. 256-881-5151.
I was going to say, where's the other 51?
Yeah, just throwing out 51s. Hey, expert diagnosis, treatment, rehabilitation, prevention. They're dedicated to providing care that improves lives. The official training medical providers for the Rocket City Trash Pandas, UAH Chargers, both of which have homes right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. 256-576-4977. That's how you can join us on a Wednesday morning. We didn't have time to get to him yesterday, and I do apologize, but we had to get Steve Robertson in to talk Mississippi State. But Steeler Mike is with us to kick off hour 2 on the phone lines. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning, guys. How are we this morning?
We are good.
We are doing good.
Got a question.
Sure.
8-4. Let's say Tennessee goes 8-4 in football next year, which I feel like 8-4, 9-3 is kind of realistic with the quarterback situation. Is Heupel does it get hot up there for him this year if he doesn't do something and makes the playoff run?
I think if they go 9-3, I don't think so. I mean, because this would be some. This is not a Derek Dooley year. This is not, how we saw it go under Butch Jones, where it just went completely south. When you're winning 9 games, I know Tennessee has extremely high expectations, and Josh Heupel's created some of that when he's come in and elevated the program and got to the college football playoff and things of that nature, and rightfully so, they earned it. I don't know if with the Nico Iamaleava situation, I almost think that he got a little equity too because of the way he handled the situation. Because I really don't put that on Heupel at all. I had already been hearing that he wasn't seeing eye to eye with Nico last year and their family and the way they were handling things. So, and then don't forget, who knows this quarterback situation? What if it turns into another Hendon Hooker deal? Hendon Hooker.
That's what we're hoping for.
Hooker's the best quarterback I've seen at Tennessee since Peyton Manning. And, I understand the game was already in hand for South Carolina when he got hurt. And that was a missed opportunity because if you win that game, I'll be honest, Tennessee would have made the college football playoff, I believe, that year. And I would have, it took him out of the race, but he was in my top 2 or 3 for the Heisman Trophy. But we'll see. Heupel's system is very quarterback friendly. If he goes 9-3 or so,
Right.
I don't think he's going to be feeling any heat at all because, again, of the way he handled the Nico Iamaleava situation.
Let me ask you this. You said he gets equity because of the playoff run last year and
and then
everything
they made
that's
the
gone
playoff,
on.
yeah.
So, and he got a little bit of equity on how he handled the Nico Iamaleava situation. But if this quarterback comes in and let's say they get 7 wins, it doesn't go great under the quarterback in the quarterback spot. How much of that equity does he lose in making that Nico decision?
If it went to a 7 wins or less, he would start feeling some heat. But they've recruited well enough where I don't think it should go that far south. I think they should still be very competitive. I think the program's in a much better spot, than it was, because you're talking about maybe backsliding like a year one where they didn't finish strong. And they lost
Because of the quarterback
Purdue
spot. Let's say it's the quarterback spot's a
But
complete disaster.
They were still making that changeover from one head coach to another, and then Hendon Hooker hadn't established himself. So they have an established, system down there, and they kept Tim Banks. They've kept a lot of their staff. I think they'll still be good. And I don't think he'll feel as much heat. And especially since he's already got 2 wins over the Tide as equity, because Philip Fulmer lasted so many puking years because he beat Alabama. Well, let's think about it, Steeler Mike. You know that too, because he felt some heat about not beating Spurrier, but because he was handling Alabama, he was insulated, and he won it all in 98, which bought him a lot of time.
Well, and Fulmer, what Fulmer did too. Fulmer quit recruiting the West Coast as heavily as he did early on in his career. If you remember, we were going out and getting the Washingtons. I mean, not that he was unbelievable, Casey Clausen, guys like that. And then we lost. Fulmer just kind of shut it down. I think recruiting on the West Coast. Hey, when's the last time a pitcher has gone out in Major League Baseball and over two games, he's given up 1 run and lost them both? Thank you, Pittsburgh Pirate hitters. 16.5 back, boys.
Look, we say it all the time. I mean, the only thing as far as runs scored, the only team worse in the majors as far as run scores is the Colorado Rockies. Second worst is the Pittsburgh
But
Pirates.
I will say this, one report that I saw earlier this week, they better not do that. They better not panic and trade Paul Skeens. That would be ultimately stupid.
There's 2 guys that are off the table. The 2 guys that are off the table for trade are Skeens and O'Neal Cruz. They're not going to trade those 2 guys. I think everybody else is open game, but nobody cares in North Alabama but me, fellas. So I'll let you guys get back talking about Alabama football, NASCAR, and fishing. I love y'all.
NASCAR and fishing like hell. We gonna talk about that crap.
We got somebody else that can handle it.
Talk about
At
stuff
least
that
those
people
2.
care about. ESPN Power Index. So the FBI came out. I want to say FBI every time I say that, but the FBI came out the other day, and it's kind of interesting because it gives Texas the best chance in college. It gives Texas the best chance in the SEC to make the playoffs. 83% chance to make the playoffs. The 3 best are Texas, Georgia, and Alabama. 66% percentage chance for Alabama to make the playoffs in 2025. Texas A&M has a better chance Tennessee has a better chance to make the playoffs over Texas A&M. Tennessee is a 38% chance to make the playoffs this coming season. Texas A&M is at 34% to make the playoffs.
Well,
the worst percentage team to make the playoffs in the SEC belongs to no.
Oh my God.
Oh, my bad. You're right. By 0.2%. Mississippi State is a 0.7% chance to make the playoffs. Vanderbilt is a 0.9.
Well, then Diego ought to take offense to that instead of taking offense to and living off last year beating Alabama one time. I guess cementing his legacy because he beat the Tide, but he ought to be more pissed off that they don't think they're going to be any good and have very little chance of making the playoff with him coming back.
They give the Auburn Tigers a 21.8% chance to make the playoffs in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here is something interesting. 6 wins, the 6-win percentage. Alabama, Georgia, and Texas, along with Texas A&M and Tennessee, all have 90% better percent chances to win 6 wins or to get 6 wins.
Yeah.
Which is be expected, right? They give Tennessee a 97% chance. LSU is in an 89% chance. Ole Miss is at a 93% chance. The Auburn Tigers, 87.7% chance of having 6 wins.
Wow.
Mississippi State, 24% chance to have 6 wins this year, followed by 30% chance for Vanderbilt.
Well, I mean, he ought to be. That's
telling you, they don't like Vanderbilt for this coming football
season. Ought to be
season.
Instagram posting toward, worry about that. All these experts don't think you're going to be any good.
Now, strength of schedule. This is where it gets good for the SEC.
What's Indiana's?
Okay, first, let's just go to the SEC. The SEC teams, these are the strength of schedule numbers for the SEC. They have the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10, number 11, number 12.
But they don't play no damn body.
At first, I had to look at this and think maybe they're ranking just the 16 teams in the conference. No, those are the national strength of schedules for the college football this coming season. Your Big Ten strength of schedule.
Can't wait. What's Indiana's?
Indiana, okay. Indiana.
You're trying to find it.
30th.
Oh, how in the hell is it that possible with their out of conference schedule? I guess the league is supposed to be better.
The best strength of schedule in the Big Ten, the toughest strength of schedule belongs to Illinois, or my bad, Wisconsin at number 12.
And they play who? Alabama, right?
Yes,
Sorry,
that's probably why they are up there. Ohio State is number 18. I mean, USC and Lincoln Sharman, 28.
Yeah.
UCLA, 19.
Mm-hmm.
The Illinois Fighting Illini and Burt, who everybody loves Burt right now.
Yeah.
Because of Luke Altmaier at quarterback for Illinois. Spurned the SEC, went to the Big Ten.
Yeah, but left Ole Miss.
Yeah. 44th strength of schedule in the country.
Old Burt.
Old Burt better win. Now, there's a team that could just have the rails fall off of them.
That could be. Burt couldn't really ever handle the SEC at Arkansas, and things all fell apart on him, and he got canned. And he's back in the league where he can win, and that's the Big Ten, where he so many years at Wisconsin he won big time. And you know what? He has such a history. Now that he's turned his career around and is winning at Illinois, Scott, if your boy ever retired, would he be on the short list?
Nope.
Burt wouldn't be on the short list?
I don't think Burt would be on the short list. I think Burt's time is done. I mean, Burt
you don't
had
think
it
they'll
going.
make another run and try to talk Bob Stoops out of retirement? I know you never got over that one.
I never got over that one. They debauched that. They botched that thing up so damn bad. So damn bad. I never would have thought, though, to be honest with you, if we had Bob Stoops, you know what? He parlayed that in, 3 years later, he won that national title in Oklahoma.
2000.
And that's when it hurt the most. But Oklahoma was, when he got to Oklahoma was in a better spot than what Iowa was when he would have stepped into Iowa City. Iowa City was Hayden Fry. He talked about not recruiting. Hayden Fry hadn't recruited hardly anybody in a couple of years. The program had taken several steps back. And that's why Alabama fans should be very, very fortunate, because I think there are several coaches, Joe Paterno. There are several coaches in college football, Bobby Bowden. I think that stayed a little bit too long at their institutions. Hayden Fry did at Iowa. to where they actually hurt the program when they leave. They've earned the right, but they've hurt the program at the same time. When Nick Saban stepped away and retired, he did it to the point where that program it did not take a step back. It wasn't a step back. He left the cupboard where when somebody came in, there was going to be an adjustment period, but it wasn't going to be as bad as what some of these other programs were. And I think that's where Alabama fans need to sit there and be like, we were very fortunate and Nick Saban didn't stay and overstay to where the program started going down.
So no Burt.
No Burt. Long story short, no Burt. But as far as your ACC goes, strength of schedules, in case you really want to know, Clemson's strength of schedule, 40th in the country. SMU, 43rd in the country. Miami, 41st in the country.
Lord, everybody talking up the Canes.
Yep, everybody. Bill Belichick in North Carolina, 71st when it comes to strength of schedule.
The Bush Leagues.
The ACC, though, they're the best, remember? They're up there. The Big Ten.
Clemson and SMU, those powerhouses.
NC State, 42nd in the country as far as strength of schedules go.
Yeah, we remember they got the brakes beat off of them by Tennessee.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's go out. I tell you what, let's get Jason in real fast. Good morning,
What's
Jason.
up, Jason, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How y'all doing this morning?
We're doing well. What's up?
Smokey Mike brought up something about Tennessee recruiting the West Coast, and they stopped. Did they not have Trooper Taylor, and then they started getting in trouble? So he went to Oklahoma State. Then he come to Auburn.
He went to Auburn, but he was never at Tennessee. So he Steeler Mike.
Trooper Taylor was never at Tennessee.
I don't think so. Not that I remember. He was at Auburn. You're right. He was at TCU before that, I believe, and he was at Duke under David Cutcliffe.
Trooper Taylor was at Tennessee from 04 to 07.
Man, I forgot that. Well, good catch there, Jason. I actually forgot that. I try to forget about Fatimus Maximus anyway, but I forgot that he had Trooper Taylor, and again, his strength is as a recruiter. But Tennessee, I'll say this: even under Fulmer, I don't think it was more or less a talent issue by the end of his tenure there. I just think he had Nick Saban had come to Alabama. There had been some coaching changes around the league, and and Urban Meyer was at Florida. There was just some guys that were better football coaches. They still had really good players. If you remember when after the 07 year, Alabama, that was Saban's first year. They actually upset Tennessee. Tennessee was a definitive favorite. Tennessee was, I think they even went to the SEC championship game that year and got destroyed. He didn't get fired till the 08 year. But
right.
I still say just like I told Steeler Mike, he built up equity for whipping Alabama. When Alabama started beating Fulmer, he had already not had a good history with Florida, but once he started losing to Alabama, that was the end.
Taylor, I can remember they would talk about his recruiting. He would not hand the player money. He would give somebody money to hand the player money.
Right.
And then back then you could get in trouble with the NCAA for the NIL.
Yeah.
And so they got rid of him. The thing about Trooper was they would say keep him 2 or 3 years, and then you had to let him go because you're getting ready to get in NCAA trouble.
Yeah. In 07.
That's why I kept played for 3 years.
Right.
In 07, remember, that's when David Cutcliffe left Tennessee to take the Duke job.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought Trooper Taylor was going to be the offensive coordinator to replace him. He was a candidate for that job, didn't get it, and then left and went to be the co-coordinator for Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Fulmer chose Dave Clawson to be the offensive coordinator, replacing David Cutcliffe.
Right. So,
Trooper Taylor is what the equivalent of what Courtney Morgan is now. He knows how to bring players in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
it says he's at Texas A&M now.
Oh, Trooper. Well, and the thing I may have been thinking about too when I said TCU is I believe Curtis Looper, I think, was with him at Oklahoma State too.
Yeah.
They both left. Looper and Trooper went to work for, went to work for Auburn for Gene Chiswick.
Yes.
I think Curtis Looper after that left to go to TCU because he had a son there. But I think that's what happened. Looper left to go to TCU. But yeah, there's no question that Trooper Taylor, he went to Oklahoma State, but after a couple years, Gundy was ready for both him and Looper to be gone.
Yeah, Trooper now is the associate head coach. He's associate head coach of offense and running backs at Texas A&M.
Well, he's coached a bunch of different positions for a reason. Yeah.
Hey, y'all have a good day, fellas.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, Trooper Taylor, by the way, started his coaching career in '92 with Baylor, then went to New Mexico, Tulane, Tennessee, Oklahoma State, Auburn, Arkansas State, Duke, and Texas A&M.
Yeah, I remember when he went to Arkansas State. I think he may have worked for, over there, maybe at the beginning of Butch Jones's tenure there, and then left to go to Duke. And yeah, I remember covering the Alabama Duke game in Atlanta when Bryce Young's first start. I was at the Alabama Miami game, but I remember watching, and covering that Alabama Duke game too. And I think that may have been the year before. I think that was and I remember going to that game and at the time I didn't realize that Trooper was at Duke until I saw him on the sidelines.
Yeah, he was the interim coach in 23 for Duke for a little bit there. Yeah. I got to get a break in. More Talking Ball right after this. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a 5th-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
But you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
You've seen those beautiful epoxy floors in a garage or carport area and have probably wondered, how can I get that done? Well, the answer is Lifetime Epoxy Floors. Lifetime Epoxy Floors is an A-plus rated business with the Better Business Bureau and has been family-owned for over 14 years. They do both residential and commercial applications and get most jobs done in a day. Lifetime Epoxy Floors' motto is, we love what we do, and it shows. Visit LifetimeEpoxyFloors.com to schedule a free estimate today and check them out on Facebook.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title, because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal. And we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
Tom Abraham Show, weekdays beginning at noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone and WCZN TV.
Well, I told you we had some baseball news, Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. It's good baseball news, by the way, because Yay Alabama did release it yesterday that Rob Vaughn, fresh off getting Alabama into the regionals. I know it was a disappointing outcome for Alabama fans. He didn't get to host, and you had to go to Hattiesburg, and you only get to play 2 games. You bow out early. But Rob Vaughn has put some excitement back into the Alabama baseball program. Expectations, I guess you could say, back into the program. He is rewarded with a contract extension.
Yeah, and great regular season. Just got to start winning in the postseason. But and Greg Byrne usually handles these things. Someone was asking me, was he going to go to A&M? And I said, well, they're going to keep their coach Michael Early now. But I was like, look, Greg Byrne's usually on top of these things. He knows if a coach wants to leave or not. He knows that you have to take care of coaches. And so Nate Oates hasn't left, no matter what erroneous fake reports you read, about him almost going to the Denver Nuggets and all these other places.
He could go to the Knicks.
Yeah, that's probably next. The Knicks. Look at Nate Oates. But
dude, it's as soon as Tom Thibodeau was fired, you know whose name was put out there with the best odds to become the next head coach of the Knicks?
Look, because I hate the Knicks.
Jay Wright.
Well, I guess I read something from Jeff Goodman about that yesterday because he and Wright are good friends, and he talks to Jay a lot. And he said, well, I talk about him, I talk to him and daily, and I ask him how he's enjoying retirement. He always says he is enjoying it. And he said there's a big difference in coaching, college kids at Villanova and then guys at New York. Now, would he fit the profile and high profile guy, East Coast guy? He'd be a fit with the Knicks, yes, but he's never coached in the NBA. Do I think it would be a bold move by the Knicks? Yes. Do I want Jay Wright to ruin his life by coaching those Packers? No. I wouldn't trust James Dolan and Leon Rose in that stupid front office. So I'm not going to hide strap my wagon to an organization that for the first time in 25 years, they go to the conference finals, then they fire the coach. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. I thought he should have been safe. I thought it was stupid, but it's typical Knicks, typical James Dolan. It's a dysfunctional organization. If I'm Jay Wright, I'm fine. I'm going to keep doing TV and enjoying myself. And, of course, when you're in the NBA, you don't have to mess with NIL, but you still have to, have a general manager above you trying to get you players. And who knows? I mean, it would be a very interesting and intriguing move. But, if I were Jay Wright, I just wouldn't trust. If I were, in matter of fact, if you're Jay Wright and you're going to take an NBA job and get yourself involved, they decided to remove the interim and hire Adelman. I would have been more interested in going somewhere like Denver, who's got really good players and recently won a championship, or, if you could coach a guy like Giannis, Well,
Thibodeau made the playoffs in 4 or 5 years, led the Knicks to consecutive 50-plus win seasons for the first time since the 90s.
Yeah.
John Starks, Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley.
Or, I don't know. I don't think Joe Mazzulla's in any kind of danger. But if I was Jay Wright, I'd rather coach the damn Celtics than I would the friggin' Knicks.
Anyway, 256-576.
Or maybe Cooper Flag.
4977. There you go. Hey, by the way, we do know super regional times. And you're going to have to stay up late if you want to watch the Auburn Tigers in Coastal Carolina. Friday night, that super regional down on the Plains is going to get started at 8 o'clock.
Brutal.
8 o'clock. And then they're going to make them turn around and play game 2 at 2 o'clock on Saturday.
I wonder if that'll have a Kevin O'Sullivan type meltdown. I don't think Butch is that kind of guy. But, I mean, trust me, a couple years ago, I guess it's now 3, when I went and covered the Alabama regional, every flipping game. Now, some of that had to do with weather.
Right.
But Alabama, every game was past 8 o'clock. It was brutal. And I had no place to stay. And I was driving back and forth. And you're talking about you get in at 2 a.m. At least you'd be able to damn sleep. But then you're having to go back, at night again. By the time you're on your way, it's another rain delay. We won't have the first pitch till 9 o'clock. And you're thinking, well, here comes the Waffle House at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, God, that sounds good.
That
sounds really good right about now. It really does. It really does. Hey, the super regional action going to get underway tomorrow. 11 a.m. is going to be the first game. That's the Chapel Hill region.
Yeah.
That's going to be Arizona and North Carolina. That's going to get everything started. And then tomorrow you've got the Louisville region. That'll get 2 o'clock. Yeah, or Friday.
I was about to pen.
Well, tomorrow's our last day, so I keep thinking tomorrow's Friday. I keep thinking tomorrow's Friday. But on Friday, Miami and Louisville, that'll be at 2 o'clock. And then you're going to get the Florida State, Oregon State, Corvallis one. That's going to be a 5 o'clock first pitch. That one will actually be first before the Auburn game. They're going to play one on the West Coast before they play one in Central Time Zone.
I'd be pissed if I were Butch a little bit like, why the hell aren't we playing at 5?
That would make a lot more sense because then on Saturday, the 8 o'clock game is going to be from Corvallis. The 2 o'clock game is from Auburn.
Yeah.
They're flip-flopping them.
Well, we're about to talk to Mark Etheridge of D1 Baseball, and I think he's going to be there for Auburn and Coastal, and hopefully he's feeling better. I know he was a little under the weather last week.
He was.
And we're looking forward to previewing those regionals super regionals.
Yes.
Talking about regional action and the flop from the SEC so far.
Well, let's bring him in next. We'll bring him in. We'll talk college baseball. Going to the pen next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Your Fox 54 weather brought to you by Tellini's Italiano.
Mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 80s. We're also going to be just a touch on the humid end of the spectrum. A couple of isolated, widely scattered showers are going to be possible. We drop into the mid 60s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny sky for your Thursday. A couple of showers and temperatures in the mid 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Your Fox 54 weather only on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Would you call a plumber for a root canal? The same goes for selling your timberland or farm. Choose someone who understands your property and can help you on the front end so you can capitalize on the back end. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction. As a guide, I have put many hunters in position to take a shot. It's time for you to take your shot. Let's talk about putting you in position to sell your property. Call me at 256-609-0512. Remember, Bo knows land.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
John Abraham here from The Blitz. Look, I love a good party. So why not join me on June 27th at Bobcat of Huntsville as we celebrate their new location on Highway 20 in Madison, right beside Redstone Harley-Davidson. I recently got to check out their massive 13,000 square foot location, and I was amazed. Skid steers, excavators, mini backhoes, you name it. But don't just take my word for it. Come on down to Bobcat of Huntsville and enjoy the day from 10 to 3 p.m. Food, fun, and a whole lot of door prizes will be available. So don't miss out as the Blitz will be live on location June 27th. I'll see you there.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at Your Home Window Company. When it comes to replacement windows, exterior doors, or new window screens, Your Home Window is the answer anywhere in Huntsville, Athens, Decatur, or Hartselle. Your Home Window windows and doors are made here in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. When replacing those old windows or doors, Your Home Window has the solution for you. In-home estimates are always free and financing is available. Learn more at yourhomewindow.com and see clearly with Your Home Window. Visit yourhomewindow.com to make an appointment today.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
And now, a man who knows what you ate for breakfast.
Now for the biggest thinker of them all.
He knows it all. He is Drew DeArmond. Listen to Drew and Scott Tyson weekday mornings. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
But that's never worked.
Well, welcome back. Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. We were going over some of the first pitch times for super regional play. Half of the bracket will get started on Friday. The other half of the bracket gets started on Saturday. So you're going to get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you could potentially have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday as well. So that's how super regionals will set up. We talked about it a lot over the last couple of days. Disappointing, the word we used when describing the SEC, or underwhelming, describing the SEC's performance in regional play.
Yeah, it would have to be considered that. We asked Chris Lee about it earlier in the week, and he gave it a C- to a D+. And it is disappointing when you get 13 teams in. And the biggest thing, though, was just the stunning results. And it does show, though, how much parity there is in college baseball, even with NIL, even with the transfer portal. But, man, I mean, no question that it was shocking to see what happened to Vanderbilt, what happened to Texas and Georgia, just really stunning. And then even Ole Miss and that comeback that fell just short. It was almost an epic one. We're going to talk about the regional results and the coming super regionals with one of the best college baseball writers in the business, D1Baseball.com. We always catch up with him weekly at this time of year. And I think I saw on his social media, I believe he's going to be headed out to Auburn to see that Auburn-Coastal Carolina, which should be a fascinating matchup. We're going to talk to Mark Etheridge of D1Baseball.com right now. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Are you headed out to Auburn?
I am.
Yeah, that should be a great matchup. I mean, I think for the SEC's sake, we need Auburn to win that. It's their first super regional ever. But Coastal's a heck of a ball club, and certainly I know you've spoken really high of them when we've had you on the show the last few weeks. That's going to be one of the better super regional matchups, I think.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Coastal Carolina's won 21 games in a row.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah. So during that stretch, I mean, obviously it's a lot of conference play, but they do have a midweek over Clemson is part of that stretch, and of course the regional round last week when they beat East Carolina twice. I do think that Auburn is a really good team at home, especially you might recall they swept LSU at home. If you can sweep LSU, you can play with anybody. So I do feel like Auburn is the favorite, but Coastal, when you have a team that's playing so well, I mean, 21 games in a row, I mean, that you believe at that point. There's so much confidence. Just find ways to, I mean, because everyone has a clunker, and they're still able to win their games against those clunkers. And I feel like it's it's an elite rotation. You go look at the numbers that their starters have put up this year against that Auburn offense. I mean, that's where the game's going to be won, I think. Can Coastal continue to pitch at that level against, Ike Irish, Chris Rimbert, and all those guys that are just bashing everybody? So I think it's one of the more fascinating series that makes it really challenging to predict who's going to win.
Well, you look at Auburn, and if you want to have a good reason why, Auburn looked good. They were one of the few SEC teams that looked good in their regional performance in every game that they played.
Yeah, I would say Auburn and Arkansas were very impressive.
Yeah, Auburn never trailed.
No, never.
During the entire regional play. And I feel, and they also played all three of the teams. They played Central Connecticut State, they played Stetson, they played NC State, and I really like this Auburn club. I got to see them basically during the fall, and then obviously follow them all year. And after a disappointing year last season, they've really upgraded the talent, brought in some pitchers through the portal, great freshman class, position players and pitchers for that matter. It's a different kind of team than what they've had. And honestly, it's a club that should be really good again next year because they've got all those young players. But they also have that older nucleus, the Ike Irish, the Cooper McMurray, the Derek Fabian. Those are players that have been around the program, been through the lean years, but they were also part of the team that hosted a regional, 3 years ago. And I feel like, that was a year that the regional didn't go like they wanted. And I felt like that was certainly a rallying point for them. And they did not let up at all. We saw through the SEC's, they went with 25-20 overall and only 4 teams advanced. I mean, it was definitely an underwhelming weekend. And I think my big takeaway, and I've given this some thought, I've actually got a column coming out on D1 Baseball later today about this, is what I take from it is we expected one level of separation between the SEC and I'm not counting the top ACC clubs because I think they're intermingled, but there's not a lot of difference there. But the rest of the sport, and what we found out is that level of separation really isn't there for a one weekend tournament. Certainly, you look at draft prospects, you look at velocity, you look at exit velo, you look at all these things that we use to measure talent, and the SEC is still far and away, where it needs to be. But I think the disconnect is how that has not translated to regional success for whatever reason. Some of the programs without the big NIL budgets, without the draft prospects, were able to hold their own, and in some cases, actually take it to the SEC power brokers this week. And honestly, if I'm one of these guys funding big NIL payments, I'm asking some hard questions about roster composition, and is it in my best interest to just roll out an all-star team versus trying to look for a little bit deeper, whether it's team chemistry, whether it's just having the right fit, having certainly those kinds of discussions can occur after a weekend like this. And should, say, Auburn and LSU lose, and you only have one team from the SEC in the College World Series, those kind of conversations will definitely happen, because that would be an epic disappointment for a league that has had its way with the sport, certainly for the last few years.
Well, Mark, I got to say this because I watched it both nights, and they looked so good coming into that game. But it's why college baseball, Ben McDonald even mentioned it during the games, why it's his favorite game, because it's so unpredictable. I still think if Little Rock had pulled that off, it would have been the biggest upset potentially in college baseball history.
Well, yeah, it may have been, considering they would have beaten them twice. Because that's the thing about, everybody wants to make the basketball comparison of the 16 knocking off one, but you only have to beat them once in that scenario.
Right.
In baseball, you get a mulligan, man. The favored team, you can lose and then storm back through it. So it's even more challenging for some of these 4 seeds to make it through, like what Murray State did.
Yes.
Honestly.
Perfect.
I mean, they were bringing back guys who threw 90, 100 pitches during the weekend just to try to get a few outs. And that's kind of where they were. They were just out of pitching, and they still managed. One, because Ole Miss spotted them so many points to begin with, that they were able to make the pitches that counted late. And it makes for great theater. And I think the big takeaway here is that, you know, we have been concerned, at least some of us inside the game have been concerned that the top of the sport was basically just, you know, grabbing all of the mid-major talent, and no mid-majors would ever break through again. And I think this weekend it was a demonstration that that's not the case. In a given weekend, baseball is it can be a random sport. As good as you are on the mound that day, that these teams can compete, and that the top of the sport is not as elevated as many of us had suspected.
Well, we know for sure the SEC will get one team into Omaha, and that is either going to be Tennessee or Arkansas. You mentioned good theater. I mean, good or bad, drama never seems to be 2 feet away from Tennessee. We're going to get some kind of drama somehow, some way. Tennessee or Arkansas in this one?
Yeah, that is definitely must-see TV this weekend. When you think about the storylines here, from an Arkansas standpoint, their last 3 home postseasons have resulted in losses in Baum Walker Stadium. Right? They lost in the Supers 4 years ago. Then they go on the road 3 years ago and win their way, but they don't do it at home. And then losing to TCU and then losing to Kansas State the last 2 years at home. And here's Tennessee, a team that Arkansas just defeated in a series, really well played, hard fought, you know, all those kind of adjectives, just 3 weeks ago, and handed Liam Doyle, the SEC Pitcher of the Year, his worst outing. I think he gave up 8 runs in that game. It was just, you know, totally uncharacteristic of him. So he goes back to the scene of the crime, right? And you mentioned all the Tennessee drama. They're reigning national champions. There's always, you know, we'll just say interesting things that pop up during their games. And that's the team that Arkansas has to get over the hump at home. That you can't even make that stuff up. I mean, that's just fascinating theater. And I do feel like these are 2 of the more talented teams that are remaining. You know, you throw LSU, North Carolina, Florida State in that group, but then they're gonna clash this weekend. And I do feel like that whoever wins this is going to, you know, they're going to get to Omaha and be one of the favorites to take down or have the final dog pile, we'll call it, at the end.
And I don't consider Coastal a Cinderella anymore. They won it in 2016. They've been a power for a while. But I'm going to tell you what, Texas San Antonio is pretty dadgum good going to Austin and handling the Longhorns the way they did. I would think they've got a legit shot at going to UCLA and winning.
I would agree, Drew. I feel like that with the way that they handle Texas. Now, if you would have told me, you know, mid-season that this Texas team that was running away with the SEC would lose in a home regional, I would have wondered how in the world that happened. However, as the year has progressed, they lost their ace, Jared Spencer. They had to juggle some guys around. They had a few other guys that just weren't either didn't perform as well as they were earlier, or just were nicked and weren't available. And then the offense has always been kind of I don't know, it was solid but not spectacular. And it wasn't the kind of offense that was just going to bash people, right, and just be able to beat people 12-10, and like you see Arkansas or Tennessee or some of these other teams are able to do. And because of that, their margin for error was smaller. So while, yes, I'm surprised they lost, they were number 2 overall seed. They won the SEC. They're obviously a really good team. The way that they were trending late in the year, I think, made them vulnerable, and they ran into a team that honestly just took the fight to them. I mean, UTSA, who beat them in midweek early in the year, they were not at all concerned going into this fall and played their best brand of baseball. And now they'll play a UCLA team that's obviously playing well. But again, I feel like if you can go into Texas and win, you can certainly go into UCLA and win, and kind of look for them to advance.
And with the as Scott said, we'll get Arkansas or Tennessee in through. What do you think the chances are for Auburn? I got to think they're favored. First super regional. Coastal is extremely good, but Auburn's playing exceptionally well right now. And then LSU, West Virginia, a dangerous squad. And we already talked about the Bayou Bengals dodge the Little Rock upset. But what about LSU and West Virginia?
Yeah, I mean, West Virginia was really impressive in Clemson. Won a pair of one-run games against Kentucky. They're a team that really fights. They're competitive, but they're going to make you earn it. But they're not as talented, certainly, as a team like LSU. I think the advantage LSU has is they have Cade Anderson and they have Anthony Hines, and those are two of the best pitchers that we have remaining in the tournament, and they have two of them, and that certainly gives them an advantage. You have to beat one of those guys, at least, in order to advance, and especially Alec Box, in the postseason. That's a challenging place to play. Little Rock seemed to handle it pretty well, though. But I do feel like LSU will advance. And you mentioned Auburn. I think for me, will Auburn get the? I'm fascinated. We talked about earlier with Auburn's offense against Coastal's pitching, and then the flip side is true. Coastal has had a good offense, not a great offense, and I do wonder how they'll handle Auburn's velocity. The pitching be one of the better pitching staffs they face. That to me would be the question. Maybe they handle it great, they knock the starters out early. But if they don't, then I really like Auburn's chances because Auburn's going to.
Well, and finally, I know you had some glowing comments to say about it. And it's a huge move from the landscape of college baseball in the SEC, but Mississippi State, Zach Selman, they get it done. Brian O'Connor to Starkville.
Yeah, how about that? People have been trying to lure him out of Virginia for 2 decades.
Yeah.
And finally, Mississippi State is able to put a package together to not only pique his interest, but seal the deal on top of that. He's a winner. Mississippi State will win with him there. The question is, now he's in the SEC, and Mississippi State, they have a lot of advantages, but it's, other than maybe a nice ballpark, which in today's world of NIL, I wonder how much that plays into the recruiting pitch. They don't have, a sizable advantage over an LSU or an Arkansas or A&M or whoever. So I do wonder how much success he will have compared to what he was able to do in Virginia, just because the competition is so fierce. But certainly his track record and his ability to manage a program is unparalleled. There's very few coaches in the country that you would pick over him, right? And I feel like Mississippi State hit a home run there. And as a result, they're going to be in a position, to host regionals, which is, just kind of where you want to be. A lot of 8 SEC hosts this weekend, and one of them was not Mississippi State, and that's kind of hurting for a program that loves to party with a home regional as much as any. And I feel like he's going to put them in a position where they're right back there.
The ACC had a good weekend last weekend. Did they not?
They certainly did, and it's been an interesting deal all year because you recall they had 4 teams in Omaha a year ago. It's a really good league. I think the question, everybody wants to compare the SEC and the ACC, and I think the difference is the depth. But when you look at some of the mid-tier ACC teams like Miami had a really good week. Louisville had a really good week. They both won regionals that had SEC members there. It was definitely a shot towards the SEC that margin is not as big as perhaps some of us thought. I do feel like the top of the ACC, the North Carolina, the Florida State, those kind of programs, I mean, they fit right in every category with the top programs in the country. What I wasn't prepared for is some of the lower level to be able to have success, and I feel like that's going to be fascinating to see how many teams advance, what they do in Omaha, and can they finally release the stranglehold tend to have somebody take the big trip.
Well, it's going to be great stuff. We look forward to your coverage from Auburn. Going to be a great super regional matchup. It looks like we were kind of joking about it, starting late. On Friday. I don't know why that's not Oregon State and Auburn at 5:00, but we certainly
like the turnaround.
Look forward to the coverage. Let everybody know how to follow you guys at D1 Baseball.
Yeah, we'll have writers at all 8 super regionals. We'll have Kendall Rogers will do command center coverage following the coaching carousel, the transfer portal, all of that good stuff. There's so much happening right now. So in order to follow college baseball, come aboard D1. And we'll keep you covered.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Get a break in. Short one. Next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Your Rocket City Trash Pandas are back for 12 games in 13 days at Toyota Field, starting June 10th through the 22nd. The back-to-back homestands contain 5 giveaway nights, 4 post-game fireworks shows, 2 brand-new team identities, and the in-park debut of the number 57 Trash Pandas race car. Get your tickets for the double homestand now at TrashPandasBaseball.com.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
No surprise here. Auburn announcing about 10 minutes ago that the super regionals are officially sold out. Limited general admission inventory may become available on game day based on ticket returns. Any available tickets will be sold on a first-come, first-served basis at Plainsman's Park ticket office if any tickets are returned, but it is officially sold out for the weekend.
So you're basically saying if Coastal Carolina returns any.
If somebody returns one, yeah, you might be able to get in, but there you go.
Something tells me David Sharp and his wife and Austin Sharp will be on the front row, though.
Some people have got tickets.
Should be a great atmosphere. Should be a heck of a matchup.
Should be fun. Hey, we're going to try doing this tomorrow. Maybe, if they'll let us. We
may join us.
We may have said too many bad words.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying roll tide and